All right, let's talk about this Raw show from Monday night. I would classify this show as fine. I think it was a blowaway show or anything like that.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Nothing moved me on this show. I see some of the stuff that they're trying to do, and it's some chances. The Jey Uso thing is very different. It's very different. They're trying to show that he's lost his confidence and he's messing up. And Jimmy Uso's like his coach, his life coach, saying, you can do this, but man, you got to straighten up and everything. So I don't know that that's what people want out of Jey Uso. I think it takes away from the fun Jey Uso thing right when the thing was peaking. Trying to do the story so when he wins, which I presume he's going to do, that it's a big surprise and the odds are against him and everything. So that's what they're trying to do. They're doing some real interesting stories here. I'll tell you what, like last week with John Cena, I liked it. I know people who didn't. I liked it a lot. I thought that there was a lot of things lacking from a logic standpoint, obviously. And I thought that it was, the premise of hating the fans, I thought was very weak, but I thought his delivery on the promo was fantastic. This week, when he was doing the same thing, man, I was over it. It's like, I'm just watching this and I'm going like, you're beating a dead horse. It was a 1 week thing. And, I'm going to take that championship from you terrible people, you terrible fans. And it's like, I don't know. It didn't work for the Cena thing. Didn't work for me at all in week 2.
Well, that's how the show opened up. John Cena came down to the ring, and he basically just buried the fans for a long time. He said the fans were horrible people. He had buried a kid last week, and then they made fun of the kid and tweeted it everywhere, and they loved it. And he said, you guys have sad lives. You're rats in a cage. 2005, I gave you my greatest idea, the spinner belt, and you didn't like it. You ate me alive like you're doing now.
Is that what happened? I always thought everyone thought the spinner belt was.
It was very polarizing.
Yeah, no,
there were a lot of people that hated that belt.
I know.
You're looking at one of them.
Yeah, no, I know that there were people from the tradition standpoint thought that it was like a gimmick and everything. But in time, I thought that people started getting nostalgic for it, and
people get nostalgic for anything. That's why TNA is back.
Yeah, well, not that back, but they do get nostalgic for anything. Yes, that's the story of George Foreman and Muhammad Ali, both being giant baby faces after being two of the most hated people when they were in their primes.
So he said the biggest mistake you ever made was burying that title. I am going to ruin wrestling for every fan, for everybody. I'm going to win the title for the 17th time. I'm going to make you forget the name Ric Flair. You will forever say the name John Cena. And then I will win that title and retire with it. I will take it home with me. I will leave all of you to create a new toy belt because the real one is going home with me. So I guess the story is he's going to beat Cody. And then everybody has 8 months to beat John Cena, or he's retiring with the title and will never, see it again.
So what?
I don't know. That's a big deal.
Look, if nobody had ever, if the lineal history of the WWE title had never been broken, that's one thing. But they've stripped people of titles, and guys have gotten hurt as champion all the time. Guys, they've had tournaments for the title. They've had Royal Rumbles for the title. They've had Battle Royals for the title. You know what I mean? It's like, so whatever. He retires as champion. Guys have done that too. Vern Gagne did that. I don't know. Didn't move me, like I said. I didn't, it's like these guys beat the hell out of Cody. Okay, last week, I get it. He was trying to listen to him out. This week, he's out there, and it's the same thing, politician, blah, blah, blah. I just feel that, I know that they're going to get in a brawl down the line, and they don't want to peak it too early. So right now, the key is they got to do really, really good promos, and I don't know that these promos were what they need. Look, I know it's going to do great either way. So it's like, but whether it does great or not, I was just I was very disappointed in the Cena thing. Not his delivery is great again, but it's like he's doing. This week was rehashed material. It was a 1 week thing, where you do that. He's feuding with the fans. I mean, they're so scared of the fans cheering him. And, if they do, they do. Whatever. I mean, it's like what's the personal issue with him and Cody? It's all about the fans, and the idea that Cody is representing you fans and he's going to not let you fans down, that's like frickin', that's like 1960s, early 1970s, not even late 1970s. That type of baby face, it's just it did not work for me.
Well, Cody came out and he said, "You made a mistake last week. You're clearly angry. You hit me at the chamber. The mistake is you just said all of this when I was in the building. If you want to take it, I'll give you the opportunity right now." He puts the belt between him, throws down his mic. They square off, and John just leaves.
Of course he had to.
And Cody screams, "John!" And he teases coming back, but then he leaves again. And then Cody says the champ is no longer standing there. He's standing in the center of this ring. Well, you're walking away empty-handed now. You're going to walk away empty-handed at WrestleMania. You're going to walk away empty-handed from WWE. It was just there. I mean,
it's just there. Not the main event of WrestleMania. No, the grudge wasn't strong enough. I mean, I know they got time to get there. They did a great angle to start it out, and I think that the follow-up has just been. I think they've gone off the rails away from the personal issue to this. The only way we can get John Cena over because everyone wanted him to turn was have him turn on the audience, and I just, like I said, he got away with it 1 week, and I even thought it was really good the first week, but I did not think that of this week. And again, neither guy ever mentioned Dwayne Johnson. Pat McAfee did make a very subtle reference before the promos about, he didn't even say Dwayne Johnson or The Rock. He just said, he made a mention of the final boss, but nothing about The Rock, nothing about Travis Scott, which was the original angle. And, so it's like, there you go. That's another thing. They're trying so hard to get them to hate John Cena as John Cena, and not link him right now with The Rock, for whatever reason.
And then we had the Usos versus Waller and Theory. So Jimmy was Jay's mystery partner. And it's a pretty by-the-numbers match. They won with the 1D on Theory. And then afterwards, Gunther goes after Jimmy, sends him outside, starts brawling with Jay. And then they did an interesting spot. So a couple of weeks ago, they had that deal where Jay went for his flip dive.
Yeah, and he landed on his head.
His steps were off, and he just chickened out in midair, which is a terrible thing to do, and he almost killed himself. And so now they're pretending like he did that on purpose. Well, not on purpose, but like
they're trying to turn it into an angle.
It was, yes. It's now part of the story
which is a bad idea. It was they're turning him. You know who they're turning him into? Titus O'Neil.
Well, sort of. I mean, so he goes for a spear here, but he slips. And Gunther grabs him in a guillotine, gives him the ground and pound. And so the story is that he's in his own head and he's messing up his own spots. And they did a segment later with Jimmy and Jay in the stairwell. And basically they're both sitting there and Jimmy says, what's going on with you lately? You've been up in your head all week. If you don't get your head on straight, you're losing to this guy. And Jay says, I've never beaten Gunther. I'm 3-0, he said. He meant 0-3. I'm not sure I can beat him. And Jimmy says, well, you're right. You can't beat him. And Jay's like, what? And Jimmy says, this Jay is not going to beat Gunther, but the right-hand man, the one who won the Royal Rumble, that's the Jey Uso I need. That's the Jey Uso we need. He fires him up. So that's the story. Jay's got to get out of his own head and quit fucking everything up if he wants to win this title.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Liv and Raquel meeting with Dom and Carlito. Liv says, Dom, why don't you go talk to Penta again? And Dom says, Finn doesn't want him in the group. And Liv says, well, he didn't want me in the group either. Look how that turned out. And then she and Liv left to get ready for the Raquel match for the women's title. So we got an El Grande Americano video package for Chad Gable's lucha gimmick. Total spoof, totally campy. And apparently, the folks at Boxy Lucha Magazine were not happy with this video.
No.
And
no, a lot of fans in Mexico were not happy.
A lot of fans in Mexico were not happy.
They felt it was... here's the thing.
Well, let me tell you the thing, Dave, because I'm Hispanic.
Okay, but from their perspective, it was... it was the big American company is making fun of our culture because they're ignorant of our culture. That's how they saw it.
I see that, but I'm going to tell you what it was, and I'm telling you this as a Hispanic.
It was meant to be comedy, I know.
No, the idea is this is Chad Gable making fun of the culture and making fun of luchadors. He is the one who allegedly created this video. Adam Pearce watches the video, and he's disgusted. Chad Gable, or Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio, they're also disgusted with the video. So the idea is supposed to be that this character is disrespecting Lucha Libre, and so the Lucha Libre guys in the company want to beat his ass. So this is different from... There have been times when the company has been doing stuff like this. This, to me, I mean... God damn, Penta's in the main event, dude, fighting for the title. And like,
there's nothing to do with that. That's nothing to do with that. It's something that, look, if Hispanic people were to take offense by it, and I know you're Hispanic, but I know a lot of Hispanic people
some
take offense
did.
By it. Yes, a lot, especially in Mexico. And if you come from the framework of being from Mexico and this is your culture, and they're doing it, it's like, yes, it's Chad Gable, but that's no different from that. You know what? That's no different from the 80s. When we would have the racist, white guys with the black guys. And it's like, it's not the promotion, but you know what? It was the promotion. It's not the guys. It is the promotion. They thought it's funny. And so there you go. So that's the deal with, it's like, I wasn't offended, but it wasn't made for me to be offended, right? I'm not in that culture, but if they're offended, they have every right to be.
Well, they have every right to be offended.
Yeah.
But the heat is supposed to be on Chad Gable.
But that's what
the Hispanic wrestlers are going to beat his ass for what he's doing.
I heard that in the 70s and the 80s over and over and over again. And, and sometimes it even drew money. But you know what? It's still the promotion. It's not the wrestlers. If you look at it, to me, if it's offensive to people, then, if it's offensive to people, they're not going in there and falling for that shit like some people did in the 70s and 80s. We're past that. These people know it's the promotion. So, they have every right to it. And I know that when they used to do the racist stuff in the 70s and 80s, I will say I was very, very offended at the promotion. I was never offended at the guys. I actually liked most of the guys who did it, but the promotion allowing them to do it, I thought it was it was just Bush League. This didn't come off as what's the word I'm looking for? As heavy-handed as that did. This was more in comedy. The other one was more trying to be serious heat. But I am way past this, using racial stuff to get heat for the heel. I just think that we should be, we should be way, way, way past that. It is, I know it's the heritage of wrestling. I know wrestling was worse before, but I thought it was one of those things that we've, moved a little bit away from.
Well, Chad Gable shows up, and Rey and Dragon Lee are disgusted by this. And Chad says, I'm not El Grande Americano. I'm sick tonight. I have a doctor's note. Pierce reads the note, says it's legit.
How would he know?
He says it's legit.
How would he know?
And Rey says,
did he
is this kindergarten?
Did he call the doctor?
Question.
Like if
it could have been the WWE doctor.
Well, then that doctor was then.
We've seen a lot of that in wrestling.
That doctor's
We've seen nothing but incompetent doctors in this business.
Yeah, that's true too.
So Chad says, "Listen, I'm stuck. I can't do this. But how about Dragon Lee faces El Grande Americano tonight?" And Dragon Lee said, "I'll kick his ass." And Pierce said, "If you want it, you've got it." We had Lyra and Raquel for the Intercontinental title. Match was fine. And Lyra hit a DDT. Liv put the foot on the ropes. Lyra yells at her, drop kicks her through the ropes. Raquel tries the Tejano bomb. Lyra reverses it into a cradle and pins her. And then Liv attacks her afterwards. Bayley ran down to make the save. Baby faces clear the ring. They sing Bayley's song. So, tag match incoming.
Yep.
What we've got. Adam Pearce in the ring. He says, I don't care what Rhea thought she did last week. She signed her name on a contract for a match she's not in. The match is not official. The signature means nothing. The match is Io versus Bianca at WrestleMania.
By the way, we didn't talk about this. What was the commercial situation for you? Did you have to watch all the commercials?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer. I didn't.
Well, it's yes or no.
Well, I didn't have to watch the commercials because I found a trick.
Uh-huh.
But the commercials were there.
Yes.
So once again, because the show aired at an earlier time, and they figured that most people were probably going to watch it on delay at the normal time, they've added the commercials you cannot skip. So my presumption is when they return to America next week and it's airing at the normal time, you will not have commercials if you watch it on delay.
You may be right. So what I had, which was very interesting, was in the first, I'm going to say, hour, 70 minutes maybe, we didn't get any commercials, but I got the original live feed that you get outside the United States where they had skits and they, one of the matches, and during the matches, we got the commentary. It's like it didn't skip through the 3 minutes, but we got essentially what the Europeans would get. So we would get the, commentary. And even once, at one point, Pat McAfee said something, and I forgot what it was. And Michael Cole goes, Pat, we're on the air, because I think he was thinking it was the commercial break or something. So we got that. And then in the second hour, essentially, then instead of doing that, I got a bunch of commercials, for all the normal sponsors. So, you could fast forward through them. But it was just interesting. I knew it from the start because I turned the thing on, and the thing is 2 hours and 24 minutes. So it was probably a 2 hour, 30-minute show. They probably edited 6 minutes out. But, they want... I think that it's one of those things where they just want more viewer minutes. So they're not... they're not editing it down to hour 50, hour 55 like they had been doing up until a couple of weeks ago.
Well, the trick, if you've got an iPad, is it's so patterned when they go to commercial that when they're about to go to commercial, you scan forward 4 minutes, and then it'll just keep going. But if the commercial starts, you're screwed. You have to sit through the entire thing. So you have to start forwarding right before the commercial begins and get right to when the commercial would end 4 minutes later.
No, it's always 3.
Well, I skipped a minute every time then.
Every commercial break was on the replay. Every commercial break was 3. I don't know what it was like live, because obviously the live show was longer than the show that I watched later in the day.
So it was. So anyway, Io comes out. She doesn't care about contracts. Rhea, Bianca, doesn't matter who it is. She'll take on both of them because she's the women's champion. Bianca comes out next. Says, "I went through the Elimination Chamber to get to WrestleMania. I am owed." Or I'm going to, there's no way Rhea's going to headbutt me or headbutt her way into the match. She didn't earn it. Rhea comes out, says, I don't even care about WrestleMania. What do I have to do to get my title back? I want my rematch. She's owed a rematch, apparently.
Okay, so here's the thing. Earlier in the show, Pierce had said, we offered her a rematch, but she won't take it except on a certain date. Then, later in the show, they say it's next week.
Yes.
Yes.
She finally talked about it here this week.
Yeah.
So Bianca says, you've already waited 3 weeks. You can wait 3 more, get your rematch with me. Anyway, they got a huge brawl that breaks out, and everybody hits a big move on everybody else. Bianca gives Io a KOD over the top on Rhea, and that leads to a segment later where Bianca says, Pierce, what the hell's going on? And he says, I got news for you. We're going to be doing a match next week, and it is going to be Rhea Ripley getting her title shot against Io. Winner gets Bianca at WrestleMania. And you, Bianca, are the special referee. And Bianca goes, what in the hell are you talking about? I don't know how to referee. And he goes, well, you better figure it out. And even the announcers are like, this fucking guy's lost his mind. What's he doing?
He did come across like completely like losing his mind on the show, yeah.
Yes. So then we had El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. Whatever you think about the angle, these guys had a hell of a match.
They had a good match, yeah.
Yes,
Too short,
did.
though. Too short, though.
So Chad did a couple of lucha spots, the El Santo flying headbutt, dragging an exploder off the apron to the floor. Bunch of near falls there at the end. Dragon hit the lariat reversal into a power bomb for 2. And then Dragon went for another foot stomp. Grande grabbed his mask, pulled it off, which in America is not a DQ.
Yeah.
It's not Arena Mexico here.
However, it is considered very uncouth because the fans did boo it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he puts him in the
ankle lock.
In the ankle lock, and he submits. So that was a pretty damn good match. Then we had Punk coming out for a promo, and we had loud CM Punk chants. And no Roman, no Seth. He said, I'm not in a good mood tonight. Milk the reaction. And then he said that Seth Rollins was a piss baby who had screwed him at WrestleMania. For 2 people, it's personal. For me, it's just business. Seth takes it personally because he's been crying ever since I came back. Roman takes it personally because he's finding out his wise man isn't only his wise man. And he says, this Friday, we're going to have a 3-way contract signing. And the fans start booing, and Punk goes, why are you booing? Because you want them? You want this here tonight? And he says, well, so did I. That's why I'm here. They're not. Tried to babyface himself. Yeah. And then he said...
he had his little AEW references, too.
Yeah, he had a comment about...
little boys running the company or something. What was it exactly?
I work with children.
I work with children like I did before, yeah.
Reminded them that neither of them beat him without the other's help. And said he brought them into this business and he'd be the man to take them both out. So, it's a good promo. Logan Paul said he wanted, he did a AJ Styles challenge for next week in London. And then we had Kathy interviewing Braun Breaker. And he was asked if he was worried about Penta's invite to the Judgment Day. He said, I don't care. The dogs are barking in Glasgow. So the main event was Braun Breaker and Penta for the Intercontinental title. And good match.
They had a good match. They had a good match. Crappy finish, but a good match.
Penta makes his big comeback. Braun hits a run up the ropes. Frankensteiner pulls down the straps. Carlito tries to interfere. Braun yanks him into the ring, spears him, which was not a DQ. But then Dom just chop blocks him. The ref calls for the bell. Bullshit finish. Sucked.
Yeah.
So the fans are booing like crazy. They chant, fuck you, Dom. By the way, they chanted, fuck you, Cena earlier. In both cases, Netflix is bleeping this out. Which the idea was...
They did, okay, they did, but they were messing up. The censor was mistiming, couldn't get it right. And then later, when they did it, later in the Cena promo, they just gave up. They didn't do it again. So it's like, it's very clear they're supposed to do it, but they don't get the rhythm of the fans, so they kind of mess up on it.
So they're chanting at him, and then Braun tries to come back. Finn Balor kills him with a chair shot. He teases hitting Dom, but then he gives him the chair. He says, hit Braun with his chair. Dom then gives the chair to Penta. The fans are doing the no, no, no chant. Penta teases doing it, but then throws the chair at Dom, super kicks him in his face. Finn's pissed off. Jumps Penta, hits Braun with the chair again, double foot stomp on Penta for good measure. Are we having another 3-way at WrestleMania?
Seems like it, doesn't it?
How many multi-person matches do we need on one big show? Over 2 nights!
Well, that's the thing. There's 2 shows, so they can do one each night. I know we got. Does it look like 3 right now? I mean, the SmackDown tag team it might be. Well, they may
the SmackDown tag's gonna be like 5 teams.
Yeah,
this looks like 3. Maybe the Roman Reigns looks like 3.
Well,
the women's match looks like 3.
The women's match looks like 3.
That's
too,
at least 4 we're talking about here. Am I forgetting anything?
They may move one of them to TV. It won't be the Roman Reigns match, obviously, or the Rhea Ripley match, but they may move the other ones to, like, because when I asked about the card, I mean, that's the one thing I've been told. It's like, I list, these matches can happen. It's like, well, they're all going to happen. Just a question of when. Some will be at WrestleMania, but we don't know which ones. So I think right now it's the same thing as last year. Like all of a sudden that the SmackDown the night before Mania, they have a whole bunch of matches that were probably originally earmarked for consideration for Mania. So I wouldn't say for Mania, but I think that the top 8 or so matches or 9 are obviously very clear, like Logan Paul and AJ, right? Those type of matches. Kevin Owens, Jade Cargill, I think those matches are all going to be at Mania. And then these other ones, some will and some won't.
Well, that's the Raw show, everybody, and we're going to wrap it up for today, but we're going to be back on Wednesday with AEW and NXT, and Dave and I were up yesterday. We had a lot of stuff to talk about on the show yesterday, so you can check that out. There was a Dave and Garrett show on Friday, and I should mention WrestleMania weekend. We got a lot of stuff. We got watch parties, although night 1 is already sold out. Night 2 may be sold out. We got meet and greet and Q&A tickets for Friday at noon at the Palms, Dave and I. And also tickets available for Fogo de Chao, the Brazilian Steakhouse Saturday, the Wicked Spoon on Sunday, the post-WrestleMania suite parties, which are also close to selling out. So grab your tickets now, f4wonline.com/Vegas. That's f4wonline.com/Vegas. And join us for all of those events. There's a lot going on that week. So check that out. And that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.